Hello, today we're going to review these two lenses, the 50mm 0.95 from 7Artisans and this other one that is very similar, which is the 50mm 0.95 from Meike or Meike, I don't know how it's pronounced, I pronounce it Meike. This is not a sponsored video, I just bought these lenses my own, and let's unbox them. The attention to detail is really nice, branded in front cap and the rear one, and the front one is metal. The rings are smooth and silent, no steps here, just a continuous movement. It fits really nicely in the camera, looks good on it, and the weight is just right as well. Meike also pay attention to the details, branding the front and back caps, and the front one is also metal. Meike doesn't have that space gray coating in the back, it's just plain metal. The rings are smooth and silent with no stops, the same as the 7Artisans, and the weight feels just the same. It fits nicely in the camera and it looks very good as well. Unfortunately, I spotted a manufacturing defect on the lens. It's a bit of a lottery with these low-cost lenses. These marks here, as you can see, are internal on the lens, nothing that could be cleaned up from the outside. In this video, I'm going to test them with the Fujifilm X-H2S is my camera, and you can buy them for any other system, depending on the camera that you have. You just have to check in the instructions how to use one of these lenses because they don't have any electronic communication with the camera. So you have to configure the menu in a particular way to use and check your documentation. I went out to take some pictures with both lenses. These ones here are with the Meike. I don't know the aperture for each of them because it's not registered electronically. So I'm gonna guess here. This one, they are not edited, just straight raw from the camera. This one I think I used 8 as aperture. As you can see, the lens, the definition, I'm gonna increase here to 200%. Yeah, it's actually very, very good. It's very sharp, very well defined. The colors seems to be very, very nice. So let's move to the next one. Here we have the smallest aperture at 16 and here is 0.95. So you can see the difference in the two pictures. This looks more like a smartphone picture. Here is something that you can, of course, here getting these parts on focus is going to be very, very difficult, but still in the overall looks nice. Here I took a series of pictures from 0.95 to 16, and you can see it's not easy to get that on focus, but at the end, with some practice, you can do it. And the background here is really separates the subject from the background. So I'm going to move to the next one, and here I was reducing the aperture, getting to the smallest one, and here is at 16. There's another one here. As you can see, the subjects are very nicely separated from the background, as this one. Then I wanted to test it on some crowds, and that's something that was interesting about using this kind of lens, because you can see here we can get just in the middle of the crowd people on focus and the other ones completely out of focus, which is an interesting effect here at the far end by focusing on infinity. So yeah, it's more interesting. You can go a lot of play with this. And also this one here, for example, one of the things is was difficult to focus. For example, this one, you can see that if we see the picture like this, it looks okay, but this part is not really in focus. And this other one that I took, I managed to get that part on focus, so you can see the difference here. And that's basically it. Let's move to the 7Artisans. Here again, it's a little bit of that example of getting this area here in focus using the 0.95. You can get that kind of dreamy kind of effect. The results are pretty much the same as both lenses, to be honest. Just easily, it's as difficult as to get on focus at 0.95. One more thing you can notice here is that at this wide aperture, you have more color aberrations. You can see this purple here, that's that, and also refraction. You can see that there is this kind of halo around bright subjects. So yeah, that you will have those effects at that wide aperture with these lenses. They are not perfect. As well as they make it, well, color and sharpness is really, really good. So in overall, basically, they are very, very similar lenses. Not just optically, but also physically, they look very similar, both lenses. Also in size, they are basically the same. The most difficult part is going to be about manual focus. As you can see here, the depth of field is very, very shallow. So get things on focus manually is going to be very difficult at that wide aperture. But this is something that at the end, with practice, you will get to used to it. Also, some cameras give you some help, like in this case, this peak color around areas which are on focus. But at the end, just practice and you will get the gist of it. Let's take a little bit of a closer look here, and you can see there are a lot of imperfections. In this case, for example, you get diffraction, there's kind of halo around the image, and well, this is something that you have to accept by getting these lenses at this low budget and using this aperture. Now, when I reduce the aperture and I go into 1.4, 1.8, we can see that the whole thing becomes clearer, sharper. So that's basically the aperture that you will be using most of the time. Why would you like to get one of these lenses? The first reason that comes to my mind is because you're in a low budget and you really, really want a 0.95 aperture lens, and you cannot spend thousands of dollars on one from Leica or Nikon or any other manufacturer that have super expensive lenses at that wide aperture. Are these the lenses for you? You want to get them? Well, it depends. If you have, for example, only a kit lens and you don't have any other lens, and you want to start learning how to use a prime lens, how to use manual focus, how to learn about focus zone, and you are on a budget, then definitely these lenses are great. You can get great pictures with them, you can learn a lot, and they offer a lot of versatility in terms of creativity. But if you already have some lenses that can cover that range, or if you have a old lens, let's say that you might have some vintage lenses, or you have access to buy some of them at a good price, then I would suggest to explore that instead of getting these ones, because there are many vintage lenses which are extremely good, and by just putting a converter, I have a video about using a converter with one of these vintage lenses, they can give you much better quality and versatility, and also they are most of them actually smaller. For example, the Takumar 55mm that I have here, I have a review about this lens. Well, as you can see, it's way smaller than these two, and you just put a converter at the end. It's going to be in length basically the same, just as a thickness the lens is going to be smaller, and you have a lens that is completely manual anyway, has no electronic communication as these ones as well, and you have a very amazing good quality and optics with this lens that don't have much of the issues that you have with these other ones. So consider that option as well. Some pros and cons. So the pros is they really feel solid. They feel very well constructed. You can feel the weight is all metal. Even the cover and the front cover is all metal. The rings are very smooth. The whole thing looks really, really well constructed. Some of the cons is they kind of generate a lot of static. I don't know if it's something that can be fixed by certain coating on the crystal, on the glass, or I don't know, but the fact is that they really gather a lot of dust. Even just having them around, you can see in the room, they're really picking up a lot of dust. That's something that is kind of bothering. And also in the area that is between the lens and the body of between the glass and the body of the lens, in that particular area, a lot of dust gets in. Also, they are not weather resistant, so if you go out in the rain, it's up to you. And finally, there is no electronic communication with the camera, so you have to select a lot of things manual. And when you export the pictures into Lightroom, for example, any software like that, there is not much information that you can get from the lens itself. All the information is just from the camera. The lens has no communication whatsoever with the camera, so it's only manual, and that's it. I hope this video helped you to make a decision if you want to get one of these lenses. In the descriptions below in the video, there are links where you can purchase them. And let me know in the comments if you already have one of these. How has been your experience? I would like to know. Remember to subscribe, like the video, and see you next time. Thank you.